Hey students, Tim here, and welcome to the fourth lesson in the home piano course. Again, we're going to be using this book. Link is in the description, and today we're going to be talking about slurs and legato playing. And of course, we have some pieces and exercises to walk us through this. And then basically we're just going to be using that concept of the ties and in 3/4 time signature throughout these different pieces. So we're going to start today on page 42. What I recommend you do is, if you haven't already, at the end of the last lesson, complete this piece and this page, because it will help set you up for playing in 3/4. So I'm going to play What Can I Share for you with the slurs and legato, but I have to first tell you what this is about. So a slur is an overarching line. I guess I could show you better with the music here. It's an overarching line that goes over multiple notes. So remember, we might have talked about ties before, where you tie the notes together. Yeah, like on this page. See how they're tying all of the same note? So C to C, E to E, G to G. So that's a tie. Now, a tie looks very similar to a slur, but a slur occurs over many different notes. So you have an E, F, G, C, D, E, instead of just E to E, F to F, so on and so forth. They actually show you over here even a little bit simpler. So slurs, what they help to do is they help to divide the music into phrases. So think about it like we use punctuation to make phrases when we speak. It's the same kind of thing, except instead of periods, it's just these overarching lines. And I'll kind of show you more about how to accomplish this when I play it here in a second. But before we do that, let's run down what are the things, other than the slurs and legato obviously, are the things we should be looking at when we are playing a piece for the first time. So real quick, just going through them. Time signature, telling you 3 beats in a measure instead of 4. You know, bottom note, quarter note gets 1 beat. We'll learn more about that later when it changes. You have treble clef and bass clef, pretty standard. Dynamics, so medium loud, mezzo forte, too soft on the second 2 lines. And then question, where is the melody in this piece? Well, remember that I said earlier in the last lesson that harmony goes up and down. It's read like chords. Whereas melody is 1 note at a time. So let's apply that to our music here. So here we have up and down chords. So therefore, in the right hand, at least in the beginning here, the harmony is on the top, whereas the melody is on the bottom. And that brings us into phrasing, because phrasing in slurs will often, it can occur over harmony, but more than likely will occur over melody, because the melody is the part of the piece that you're going to remember, that you're going to be singing to yourself, and so you need those phrases in the melody for the piece to sound correct. However, down here, not even however, but to continue, on the second 2 lines, what happens? The melody now is on top, and the harmony is on the bottom, which is what we're used to, right? Like I said, 95% of the time I would say melody's on top, you know, harmony's on the bottom, but this is the 5% of the time where we start, where it's a little bit different. So let me get playing this thing for you. I don't know if that was a complete sentence or not, but let me play this piece for you. Okay, so here we go with What Can I Share? And then piano soft. And then slower. So that's how to play What Can I Share? Let's just keep moving right along here in the book and see what we have next. So a day is done. You know what? I'm going to let you play all of this on your own. That's why you buy the book, right? So you can go through it. Same kind of thing. You know, you have melody on top this time, harmony on the bottom. Really nothing new. Just watch out for that piano and always read the instructions. Oops. Let me get you so you can see what I'm talking about. Always read the instructions while you play, because I do skip over some of them only because I need to get through more of the book. and this will give you a little bit more detail on each thing. The thing, though, actually in with that, add chord symbols to the boxes above the treble clef. So here, remember we talked about the C major chord in the last lesson, and then the G7 chord? Well, remember, the C major chord, as we've learned it so far, is C in root position, so that's up and down. So you'd write C there. And then this one, remember that the G7 looks a little funny because they put it in an inversion and they leave out a note. So there's G7, and then I'll let you do that one on your own. I think you can probably figure it out. Here you're going to complete your assignment for next time. Complete this, say whether it is a tie or a slur maybe, and I'll let you do that on your own. Here we have introducing A for the left hand. Now remember in the last lesson where we had to move our pinky down a note with our left hand and then up a note with our right hand? Well, this kind of swapped. Now we're going to be stretching our thumb with our left hand, and then we'll see what happens with the right hand on the next page or so. I forget exactly whether it's that or not. But so remember, like last time we were going from this chord, the C major, and then to get to the G7, we had to go down like that. Well, this time, what you're going to do is you're going to play a C major chord. They've actually written it as an arpeggio. And then you're going to go to an F major chord. It's in an inversion, but we'll worry about that later. So instead of C, E, G, what you have to do now is play C, F, and then extend your thumb. So it's your thumb now in your left hand that we're dealing with. So go through, play that a few times. I mean, it does have a repeat on it, so you'd be playing it again anyway. And hey, they show us the chords here that we're talking about. C major, F major. It's really easy to get from C major, by the way, to an F major chord, because all you got to do is you keep the bottom note and you move the other two notes. In general, we'll talk more about this as we get further in the course. But generally when you're moving chords to chords in piano music, like if you're ever writing your own music, you want to do it in as small amount of movement as possible. So what you don't want to do is have like a C chord here and then jump all the way down to an F, all the way to a G. I mean, it sounds okay, but it is going to sound a bit disjointed in comparison to maybe like... See how that had more of a kind of movement to it rather than up and down the keyboard. So let's continue here. All right, so take a look at that page. I will play When the Saints Go Marching In for you. I will not play When the Saints Go Marching In for you on the next page. You may be like, what? Well, I'll explain here in a minute. So let's, before we play this piece, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? Oh, no, we're forgetting. We should check out and see exactly what's happening in the piece before we play it. So things like time signature, we're back to 4/4 now. Things maybe like rests, look out for rests. See like when you're playing in one hand, and not in the other. Ties, right? We're tying those note values together. Maybe look at the different chords that are going on. Remember, they kind of give you a clue here and here as to what they are. And then like a repeat there. Now, if you read this box here, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to tell you what it says based on my memory, is that this is an incomplete measure. It's also called a pickup measure. And obviously incomplete makes more sense because what? It's incomplete, right? We only have 3 beats here, and we're supposed to have 4. So what happens in a piece like this, especially when there's a repeat at the end, see how there's an incomplete measure at the end? Well, think about it. It makes sense, right? Because beats, this is actually beats 2, 3, and 4. Because when you play all the way through the piece, you get to the end. Here's beat 1. And then this measure is really part of this measure up here. So it kind of goes around in a circle. Just showing you that they can have incomplete measures almost, as far as I can think of right now, always happens in the beginning of the piece, tied to the end of the piece. All right, and then last thing before I play it, melodies on top, harmonies on the bottom. Looks like that checks out for the whole thing. So I'll play this with you so you can play it along or watch the video over if you want. See how it's going to sound once you're done with it. Again, these don't need to be 100% perfect before moving on, but you should get the general gist of the piece, be able to play it beginning to end with relatively few mistakes. And so on and so forth. I think you get the idea. Again, if I'm playing too fast for you, because you will be playing these slower on your own, there is a little gear at, people don't know about this still. There's a little gear at the bottom of the YouTube video on the bottom right. Click it and you can actually change the video speed to half speed or 3/4 speed or quarter speed if you want to be punished that much. But just let you know about that, because that will be helpful for playing along with me and seeing exactly what I'm doing. All right, like I said before, okay, real quick. This is the same as this, just with your right hand. So I'm just going to let you look at this. The only thing you got to look out for is that instead of, you know how like the left hand, we were stretching the thumb. Well, this time with the right hand, you're stretching the pinky. So just watch out for that. Okay, and then when the Saints go marching in, wait, didn't we just play this? Well, let's see if you can figure out the difference between this and this. They look really the same, don't they? Bum 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 bum. Let's see. Bum 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 bum. Wait, it's exactly the same, or is it? If you may have noticed already that the melody, and it says it here too, the melody is on top for this piece, and this piece is literally the same thing. We're just swapping. You have the melody on the bottom, harmony on the top. So I'm gonna let you play this one on your own. The rhythms are the same, the notes are the same. It's just swap. So I think you can figure out how that works. Okay, and then for next time, what I want you to do is I want you to play through this entire page. I want you to, follow the directions, fill out the blanks, and go through it on your own. A lot of it is what we've talked about. They're kind of combining that C major chord, the F chord we just learned about, and then they add in the G7 as well. You don't have to play and sing the words. You can if you want, but do the rest of it. All right, and then the same thing with the right hand. And then they give you a little waltzing chords pattern here that's really easy. You're just really playing one of the chords in one hand, and then you're repeating that with your left hand, or your right hand, rather. And by the way, term of the day, waltz pattern, every waltz is in 3/4 time. So there you go. You can impress your friends with that new knowledge. Okay, before we end today, I want to go over what I want you to work on for next time. Like always, your assignment is to go from where we started, play through all the pieces we talked about today. Play through them twice, at least, each time you practice. If there's a spot or so that you keep messing up, maybe make a star. And then at the end of your practice session, say it only takes you 15 minutes to go through all the material we covered. I think it'll take a little bit longer than that. Say you have 5 minutes left, right? It only takes 25 minutes, and you need 30 minutes. We'll go back and, play the little spots that you had trouble with. So, but at least play them through twice a day. Always do the directions. You're going to be filling these out. Some of these we talked about. Some of these we didn't. That's a slur that's a tie, by the way. I almost gave you the wrong answer. I swear I'm not trolling you guys. All right. So, and the same thing with this. Play through it, fill it out. I think you know what to do by now. You're just going over each page we talked about, and then re-going over any of the stuff that gave you trouble. Check out the next lesson when you're ready, right about here. And make sure you're subscribed. You have all notifications turned on, because we have new lessons coming out all the time, and you don't want to miss a beat. A great supplement, I have been forgetting to mention, a great supplement for this course in this book, or the courses over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com. Use code YouTube for an additional 15% off any order. And the beginning courses like Introduction to Piano Music, Piano Level 1, I think are basically covered in this book. However, they would be a really good review for you as well, and because they have like different examples. And there are actually a lot of courses over on my website that cover a lot of stuff that we're not going to cover here. So thanks everybody for coming by today. It's been Tim, and I'll see you in the next lesson.